All right. Looks like 8 in here now for viewers. Let me know if you can see and hear me. Hmm. All right. How's it sound now? All right. So looks like we got 14 in here now. Um, so late day Q&A. I don't have anything as usual. Nothing prepared for content wise, and even less thought about it today. Um, pretty busy day for us in support with test drive going on. Helping users for the first time get logged in, so on and so forth. So fire away the questions if you will. I am in some support chats currently as well, helping some users. So I will, make my best attempt as always, keep it interesting and keep it moving. Hmm. Sounds like I cranked the treble and cut the mids. Um, yeah, I haven't changed anything. I wonder if it has to do with I started my stream at the same time Barry was ending his, and it looked like our streams were happening simultaneously and kind of fighting with each other. So I do wonder if that might have played an effect on what happened. But I was testing something because I'm using a different software than he's using to broadcast. So hopefully it improves in a moment. If not, reload the stream, see if maybe that helps. So, with nothing else, let's go around the horn a little bit here today. I honestly have not looked at anything Holly has done. I just could see that she's firing tons of stuff. Mike C, thank you for coming in. Always appreciate you helping bump my numbers up of viewers. Question. I like questions. All right. Question asked Barry. Curious what your answer would be for biotechs that are going to be at a conference on a month. What kind of scan do you place and conference monitor them? I would first, I'd say create a symbols list, so we could take, come to tools, symbols list, and then, call that list whatever you want, label it, and start throwing those symbols on there. And then if it's going to be a pointed scan, I'd probably keep a really simple scan. So what I would do from there is maybe let's go, I think maybe a top list might be better for this as well. So I go top list, new, um, and I would keep it pretty simple. Obviously you're going to come to symbols list and add the list, whatever it is here, put a check and make sure this says, only the following lists. And then from there, I'd probably just put some simple metrics in there, like maybe a shares per day. So, or volume, sorry. Let's go volume. Oh man, that sounds really good. I'm starving. I ate some yogurt a little bit ago. I've been too busy to eat. So I'd go with, volume, maybe put like a minimum volume in there of, for shares, like maybe something like 100,000, because you want to, keep the noise out essentially. Because if something hasn't traded 100,000 shares, obviously there's not going to be any news or anything like that worthy of it. Maybe I don't know if you want to really put a change from close filter in there or not, because I don't know which way you're trying to go. Shorting stocks or going long on these bios. But that would be my tip to you: is just a simple configure top list. Don't put a lot of filters, because essentially you're filtering out 99.9% of the market anyways by having that pointed list. So I would say to you, go through the filters and kind of pick out what you think might be valuable to what you're trying to do with that scan essentially. You could, well, if you want to do blocks, and you got to do an alert window instead of a top list. That's what I would throw at you then for that. And block list does, or block trade, whatever it's called, does work in the pre-market. So you could go new alert window. Not what I wanted to do. There we go. Move that window. Search block. And again, because you're looking at such a narrow set of data anyways, I don't think you need to do too much filtering as far as windows go, and narrowing it even further, the fact that you have a block trade. So I mean, if let's say for example you got 20 stocks on that list, and they're all at some conference on the same day, but two of them are just presenting, or I mean 10 of them are just presenting nonsense, nothing, no big deal, anything doesn't affect their volume. Well, you're not going to get alerts for them anyway, so it's not going to drag you into anything, because they're not going to have any block trades anyways. And so you filtered further like that, and that would be my suggestion to you, or to anybody else that's looking to filter based on something like that. And I find in general, if you're using symbols lists like that, you generally don't need as many filters, unless you're trying to like really dig in and build some stuff. And then of course, you know you're just going to go come and search, and you're going to see what you think fits what it is you are trying to build. Get rid of this all. So fire away questions. Please, please, please fire away questions for me. Soul. Sure, let's take a dive in at Soul. Semiconductor. China. China got hit a little bit today, I think, didn't it? Again, right? I have a scan that I was working on, and I was monitoring that, and it took an China ETF that like tanked after I took it. K-Web. What's the K-Web doing? That is not the K-Web. That is the K-Web. Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. So, China semiconductor internet. K-Web, K-Web. Let me see it on my list here. There it is. Okay. Well, it had a big gap up and just essentially filled the gap, so I guess it didn't roll over. It's just a bad timing of the enter of that. So, anyways, back to Soul. Kind of half talking to myself. Apologize. I don't know. There's nothing that interests me in this. You know, just over its normal relative volume over 10 days. You got all this resistance. Oops, right there. Just every single time it seems to try to want to get off the mat, it gets sold. So, nothing interests me about that chart whatsoever. Even less interested now. You've got this here. I don't know what that was, but you can see every single time there's been buyers, these bag holders are distributing it. So you have all the supply meeting all this demand nonstop. There's no way to really know when this is exhausted. But yeah, that's I'd be staying right away from that, quite personally. If you're trading it, you're in it. I see Holly. I just noticing now Holly made an alert on it. I mean, her alert was solid. I'm not sure what her catalyst was for that. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to look at anything Holly has done today. So Soul, Mighty Mouse, it's a small stock. So, it fit whatever she was doing here. Not a ton of alpha on it, right there. So, you're looking at 16 cents, depending on what your risk level was and things like that. But long term, I don't see anything there personally. But I don't have Holly's algos. I can't even look into what she was seeing here to alert this. So perhaps there's a catalyst that's going to be here, and maybe you want to put it on the list and watch over the coming days to see if maybe she's got something that's starting early. I'd throw that at you. Let's see, user. FR4253, hello, wasn't charging on test drive and it said it was zeros. Is correct? Am I not subscribed yet? Never mind. Charge monthly plan. Orange just went to zero on the monthly plan. Will that renew after try? No. If you were in the test drive, as long as you did not as long as you didn't take a regular subscription, you will not be put into any subscription whatsoever when the test drive is over. Test drive's over, you're done. Unless you decide to sign up for anything. When it ends, it ends. Nothing more you have to do unless you want to be a part of Trade Ideas subscription yourself. Steve K, does TI scan for after and pre-market? Yes, and of course, yes, we do. So if a couple of things we can do here. First, we can come to new. We're going to do a docked. No, let's just do a regular channel bar. New channel bar. All right. So got your channel bar here. All right. And mainly when I was using pre-market data, I don't anymore. I don't need it. We have a pre-market channel that's here. So it's going to have a bunch of different scans and there's a multi-window. And then we have, I think it's called after hours, right? After hours down here. So you have those two channels to go from. You can, of course, build your own scans, Steve. So, what you could do is, you come to new and you're going to decide, do I want an alert window or a top list? That's entirely up to you. If it's an alert window, you're going to need an alert, a catalyst that works. I see your question coming in there, Mr. or Mrs. 1978. I'll get to you in 1 second, but generally it's an open forum live Q&A for Trade Ideas software. As long as questions are coming in, we keep moving on those questions. If not, I'll generate some content. So that's kind of how that works. Do we do the same trades that you do? Well, I don't really. I'm more of a swing trader, number one. I'm not even trading today. I'm way too busy with other stuff to trade. But no, we don't recommend, don't follow us. You got to have your own risk plan. Scan, we can share our scans with you. We can share, some thoughts on a chart or something like that. But we're never going to tell you this is a buy, that's a sell, this is a hold. You have to manage your money, manage your risk on your own. If trading is something that's very, very new to you, I suggest hanging around with Barry, making the webinars. Right now, we don't have our weekly webinars while the test drive is going on, but hanging around those, that's where I learned. I knew nothing about trading a few years ago, and now I work here. So, I put a lot of work in, sleepless nights, all that stuff like that. I won't be outworked by anybody ever. And I literally taught myself how to trade using Trade Ideas and the Trade Ideas community. And Mike C, that's in this chat here, he's a great person to interact with and learn from. Mike C knows the software probably about as well as anybody I know. So, Mike C's all good stuff, good positive vibes always from Mike C. But keep the questions coming and I'll keep circling back in and out. So again, Steve, back to you with the pre and post market. So on an alert window, you need a catalyst or an alert, an event, okay, to trigger. Some work in different market times, some work in all market times. So for example, this new high alert is only going to work during regular markets, but we have what we call a 5-minute. So this 5-minute high, this 5-minute low, this will work in pre, during, and post markets. All right. We also have post market highs as well. That'll only work in post market. So in an alert window, the alerts are the event that has to happen. That will happen. And then in coordination with whatever filters that you've decided to put in here and their values. And if the filters and the alert are happening at the same time, boom, you get a time stamped alert. And that's your alert that works like that. If you are looking to something that's just kind of cycling and kind of updating price nonstop, that's when you go to a top list. Okay. So a top list does not have that alert or event attached to it. It's only the filters. And every 30 seconds, a scan will come back and forth from the server with every stock that meets your filter set. Again, there are going to be filters that don't work in the pre and post market. So for example, our relative volume filter does not work in pre and post market. All right. So if you have this in one of your scans and it's got a value in it, it won't work in pre and post market. All right. There are other filters you could use in its place in the pre and post market that are just as good, in my opinion. So looking for gap, open volume in either direction. Yeah. So Steve, my recommendation is definitely hit hit the pre-market channel. I think that's going to give you really everything you want. Quite personally, it was all I ever really needed. I mean, I made another window for fun that had just looked at low float stocks with the highest change from close percent moving up. But there's nothing fancy to that, and your everything that was in there was essentially in the pre-market channel too. So I think you'll get everything you need from those two channels. But let's just go over this as an exercise real quick. So if we go to new, and I think you'd want a top list for this as well. So if we go to new, we go to top list. All right. Let's come to the window specific filter, and let's get rid of any values that are here to start really from scratch. And if you ask why I start from scratch like this and not starts from scratch like this here, is because by starting from scratch like this, I'll have these columns still to work with here for data. Otherwise, the scan will start completely blank. Like it won't have what the price of the stock is. It'll be missing a whole bunch of stuff, and then I got to add it all individually, and I'm lazy like that. So that's why I started this way. Um, and you come here and you search. So for example, float was something you're concerned with. All right, we have float, short float. All right. Um, we have a float turnover as well for ratio. So you could add, you want a short float, you add that filter. All right, so pick short float, add filter. Now it brings us to the window specific filter right here. Okay, and here we can give it values. And if you're ever having trouble when you're creating a scan, you're like, geez, what is that value going to do to the stock? Like if I put, for example, 50 million in here. All right. Well, what does that mean? What did that just do? See this magnifying glass that's here in the middle? Go ahead and click that. That's our show me function. So now if I click that show me function, you're going to see right here, show me stocks where the float is at least 50 million. All right. Or excuse me, that's short float. So 50 million% of the float, which will never happen because, I know there's ridiculous things that happen with short float, but that's not one of them. But that's what this essentially does. So making it more realistic, I guess we're showing a short float. We put a 25 here now. So show me stocks with a short float is at least 25% of the total float. Now, if we wanted to say, well, I don't want to see stocks that are too high a short float, I want them down, we could put it in the maximum, say, show me stocks where there's no more than 15% of the float, just like that. And that's how the show me functions work in that. So let me know if that works for you, Steve. I'm going to circle back and see some other questions piling in here. So again, back to Visha. Um, the way the room works is it's a live Q&A for trade idea scanners. Fire away questions about the scanners, what we can do, how we scan, filters we have, or types of scans we might be able to share. If you have a scan idea and you want some help being pointed in that direction, I can certainly help you with any of that. I'll talk charts if there's not much else going on. I'll take some requests. We could look at some charts, but there's no pumping of stocks in here. Hey, buy this. If someone wants to say, hey, look at this chart, it looks interesting. That's fine. That's sharing an idea or whatever. But if someone were to come in here and just constantly is putting out a chart name or something like that, I'm going to ask you to stop or I'm going to mute you. That's more or less the basis of the room. Everything is trade ideas, just like the name of the company. That's what we're doing. We're trying to share ideas here. Circle as a suffering swing trader. Could you share a couple of your favorite swing trade scans? I have one favorite swing trade scan. I have one scan that I go to, and I get all my ideas from this essentially for the last year and a half probably. Load from cloud. My evening scan one. Share. Copy. Now, here's the thing with swing trading. It's data interpretation, okay? What I see in a chart, someone else might not see on a chart. What you see on a chart, I might not see on a chart, all right? What's your criteria for swing trading? What are you looking for? What are your rules? Things like that. These are the questions you have to be able to answer to trade anything successfully. You can't just throw stuff at the wall and see what happens. So I'm going to load that scan now. And I'm going to explain to you how I personally use it. I'm also going to tell you that I shared the scan once with somebody. And they told me they don't understand how I could use it as a swing trading scan. They thought it was a day trading scan. Same exact scan. They just don't understand it. Now, unfortunately, the way the market's been, it's kind of bled down today, and a whole lot of nada happening for the scan. It's been pretty full for a few weeks, but I'm looking for things in the scan that look something similar to this, as a matter of fact. So SoFi, all right. Now, this is what I look for personally. Okay, that's a newer issue, which I'm not exactly crazy about. But and keep in mind, my eye sees these patterns because I want to. So I am biased to these patterns. They're not always here, but I see this kind of cup and handle that's formed here now. All right. Now, I do have one concern with this chart. You had to try to break out here and fail with this gap down. I'm going to guess that was probably earnings that caused that and that situation. So, that is what it is for that gap. But that's what I'm looking for in the scan. That's what I look for in trading. And then I try to line it up with, well, where's my resistance? So this was a resistance level, obviously. We're now clearing it. And the next resistance level, to my eyes, look like we're going to be up around here. So, I might set a price alert for this tomorrow to take out, come near the high of the day and see if it's interesting, high of today, and see if it's interesting to me and what kind of room it's got to run like that. And that's how I would use that scan for swing trading quite personally. Now, I don't know if I'll put SoFi on there when I scan later or not. I'm going to take a deeper look into that. But I hope that kind of gives you an idea there. Let's take a look to see if we can find another chart that might be interesting to look at. So, let's look at this here. And I swing things according to what the price action is doing. I have a tentative target that I'd like to see. So if we went back to SoFi, let's pretend that I got into it. So things that I would do right now. If I were to get into this, I would probably use the bottom of this candle as my stop here. All right. The bottom of the daily candle is my stop. If I moved up in price action, I'm looking to move up to 20. 20 is a, pretty significant level. However, every whole dollar number is a significant level too. So let's say I got into it tomorrow and I got into it at 1840 for argument's sake. Okay. We get to 19 and I see us struggling at 19. Let's just pretend I took 100 shares. If I saw us struggling around 19 and I had 100 shares, especially the way things have been in the market, so choppy and giving up gains really fast, I'd probably cut half my share size right then around 19. And I'd probably raise my stop to a little bit above where I entered. So I'm guaranteed a profit at that 19. And I'm not going to let it come back down and touch my entry either. I'm just not going to hand that money back. And that's how I manage my trades personally. Everybody has to decide what works for them for managing their trades, though. Some people have a hard target, but I find that hard targets don't work for me. It doesn't always make sense. I don't reach the target, and then when I tried to attempt to trade like that, a lot of times I gave back all my gains, and that never came back, and I never met my target. And so it was awesome. I was up, let's say, a whole 75 cents in a trade, and that was it. Nothing else could help me. Sorry, I got a message come in here. So, anyways, something I pound the table on over and over and over again. If anybody's been in any of my live sessions before, trading isn't a job; it's a business. In order to run a successful business, you have to have a business plan. In order to be a successful trader, you have to have a trading plan. When you decide you're going to trade, you're essentially asking yourself for a loan to open a business, to open a brokerage account and trade that. When you go to open any kind of business, almost everybody needs a loan, whether it's from family, friends, bank, investors, whatever. You don't ask these people for money without a trading plan or without a business plan. You don't just go to a bank and say, "Hey, I got the greatest idea for a business ever. Can I have money?" And they say, "Yeah, great. What's your plan?" "Oh, I don't have one." "Well, they're not giving you the money. So why would you give yourself money if you didn't have a plan for your business?" So that's, you want a job, there's lots of places hiring for a job. You want a business, you got to have a plan. That's how that works. Everybody comes across their plan in a different way. I would highly, highly recommend journaling to try to figure out your plan. That's how I eventually got to mine. It took me way longer than it should have, but that's life. Blue, this is something I've actually been watching a lot recently. So the same kind of idea here. Without going into how I would trade it, all I'm going to say is that, we had this big gap down. We made a nice long base here, and we've got this kind of horseshoe pattern happening up here. And so that's what I'm looking at right there. We got this beautiful, tasty gap right here. And if we can get above that right there and start to move into that gap, you might just find something like CCIX happen. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm just saying that's a position that we could put ourselves in. Did I not do that right? CCIX, where are you? Is it CCXI? Help me out. That must be it, right? There we go. So, this chart has a very similar look to what blue had. And these are the things that I try to find, or, among the things I try to find. Does it mean it's ever going to get there? Does it mean it's going to do this? No, who knows? And I mean, this is a home run hit. This is, could be a once in a 5 year trade if you happen to have got it here and you got this gap up, right? That's not normal. But, the idea was that you knew a gap was here, all right? You watch these stocks like this. I started watching the stock somewhere back here, I believe. Now I didn't trade it. I didn't get any of it. I just wasn't positioned for it. I was trading other things, and it just happened to work out that way. I think I traded it once or twice, but traded it. Didn't hold it overnight. I didn't like the way it had closed a couple times, and so that was what it was. But that's what trading is. You have to be able to look at these charts. You have to be able to see stuff. And how do you do that? You come to webinars like this. You Google or YouTube charting videos. You attend anything you can. All right. There's a lot of free stuff out there. If you want to pay someone to teach you, that's fine. But I don't think it's necessary. That's my 2 cents, anyways. So shared that. Let me just circle back and make sure. Can you explain the basic some pre-market ideas when you usually enter trade just after market open? Daniel, I don't trade the pre-market. I made a rule after I lost a ton of money trading the pre-market that I don't trade the pre-market. I, in fact, really don't even look at pre-market data whatsoever. And my scanning is done either in the after hours with this scan right here, where I mark up these charts and I put them on a list, a short list for me to look at for the next day. And then any other scans that are intraday for me are generally linked to the short list of stocks that I'm looking at. And the scans don't start until 9:45 Eastern for me. I don't want to see anything come in because I just have a tendency to chase stuff early in the morning, and then I pay for it dearly. So it's part of my trading plan. I just don't look at that stuff. If you want to look at pre-market, as I was explaining to Steve before, we have a pre-market channel. So if you come to new, you come to channel bar, all right, and you scroll down here, pre-market, lots of good stuff in there. If we'll just pretend hypothetically for a second that I was trading the pre-market. I want to see stuff that's liquid. I don't want to see something that gapped up 6% and traded 3 shares in the pre-market. That has, that's just nonsense. It's junk. It's garbage. It's probably some settlement or something like that that needed to happen. An imbalance. Who knows? If I'm trading the pre-market, I want to see, something that's moving up and it's traded, 75,000, 100,000 shares. I want to see something that's interested in it. And then I want to take a look at the float. If it's traded 75,000 shares and it's up 4% and it's got a 10 million float, that's something to be weary of. It could go either way. It could explode up, obviously, or it could come down because 10 million shares in the float, there's plenty of people out there that can, pump that thing up. And as soon as they see other buyers coming in that they know are not their buyers, rip the cord on their sell orders right away and dump everything in your lap, leaving you holding a bag. So that's my big issue with pre-market there, Daniel. I hope that kind of answers your question as far as that goes. If you have other stuff you want to add, or I didn't touch on something the way you want me to, Daniel, please, throw another question and then I'll get right to it. Chris, can we go over how to create a list? Absolutely. So a few different things that we can do here. You can use the heart in the chart to put them on your my liked list. And then I've taken the my like list and I have attached it to this topless window here. So this topless window, if we right click and come to configure, go to symbols list, is only looking at the symbols that I've liked. There are no filters in this whatsoever, nothing else. The only thing this is going to do is tell me what the stocks on my like list are doing according to the columns, which are here. I've set these columns. Those are what you see here for columns. And it's going to sort the data on change from close percent from the server, meaning that the stocks with the largest change from close up are here, and the stocks with the largest change of close down are here. And that's how I've decided to do that. So that's a server sort, and I display sorted it here by double clicking, and I can swap that. Now I can double click that, and I can make the largest change from close negative this way, and then I can double click it again, and I can change it right back again. So that's that part of that, Omer. And then the second part, if you want to create a symbols list, is come to tools. So we've got our menu bar right here, right? We click tools, come to symbols list, all right? And create new list. You can call that list whatever you want. Press OK. There's the list. Double click it. Start sticking your symbols on that list. All right. You're done. You press OK. Whenever you update your symbols list, I always suggest refresh from server. All right. Because sometimes it takes a little bit for that to refresh. And that'll be your symbols list. I'm going to delete that, of course, because I don't need that. Once you have created a symbols list, if you want a scan to look at that symbols list only, go back over this one more time here. So you right click the scan and come to configure, all right? And you come to the symbols list tab, and you're going to go add existing list, and you're going to find we have a whole bunch of lists that are made for you for different things, and you'll find any list that you've made in here, and it'll say personal next to your list, okay? You're going to select that list, all right? So just for example, if I wanted to look at REITs, I clicked REITs. Now we can see REITs is over here. And then there's the drop-down menu. And you could say all symbols, only the following list, exclude the following list, or you could look at just a single symbol with it as well. And you click single symbol, and you enter the symbol here, and the scan will only look at that. So for me, I have only the following list, and my liked is checked, and that's how that worked. All right, there, Omer. Let me know if that answered your questions. And again, if not, if I'm not getting to some, I'm going down the list. So if I don't get to somebody right away, isn't that I forgot you. And if I've answered your question, but you have more to it, make sure you throw the rest in there. We went over that for you. Perfect circle with those scans. CCXI. Yeah, can we see your after hours scan? Thank you. Would you enter that, please? I don't have an after hours scan. Again, I can share something with you. I have some stuff that people have shared with me in the past for after hours, and then we have an after hours channel. So first, you can come to file, or excuse me, come to new channel bar again. All right, and we got the after hours down here channel. You can only have one channel loaded at a time, unless you're using docked windows. I'm going to do it like that. And then I have here's some post-market scans that have been shared with me. I'll share them with you all. So copy and copy, paste, and load and save them. So let's see, post-market leaders version 2. Most of these probably came from Barry. All right, so there's that one. Let's see what else we got. Post-market leaders. I don't know what that is, but I'm going to share it all the same. Some of these might be a repeat. I'm not even sure. Copy, paste. And please, of course, keep the questions coming for me. Post-market alerts. There's that one too. What else do we got? Share here. Yeah, I'll be running this. If I don't run it tonight, I'll run it tomorrow morning before the market opens, and I'll go through the charts in there. Perfect circle. I don't run it intraday. No, I never run it intraday. So, all right, those are the most of the post market things that I have there for you to go over. Make them yours. Do whatever you like. You can go into them. You can edit them, reconfigure them, whatever you like with those. Um, Yeah, I like to do more of my scanning in the evening, and set myself up for the next day, or the early in the morning. That's how I like to do it. When I was a beginning user of Trade Ideas the first couple of years, um, I probably had 50 scans running at the same time. It was absolutely ridiculous. That's an exaggeration. I probably had literally like 15 scans running though, and all firing, tons of alerts nonstop, and it was too much data, and I couldn't keep up with everything, and it's like I'm chasing after this one, I'm chasing after that one, and then well, the way I trade is every bit of it's stolen from all the traders that I now work with. I took a little bit from Andy, I took a little bit from Steve, I took a little bit from Jamie, I took a little bit from Barry, so on and so forth. So that's what I did. I took a little bit of things that interested me from each one of them and made them my own. So you're welcome, Omer. You're welcome, Mike C. This is this is what being a community is about as far as this stuff goes. Learning, growing, sharing together, and things like that. So um, I heard Barry say it right before I took over here. Nobody becomes an expert on this platform in 2 weeks, but in 2 weeks you can get a good handle what the platform can do and can do for you, certainly. But there's always something with this platform. It's really quite incredible. So I'll share this about my evening scan too. I use it in a twofold. One is obviously I'm looking at the charts that come through this. Number one. Number two, I look to see, especially when it's really populated. Now, last week there's probably 70, 80 names on this almost every single day. For the last several weeks, of those names, over 50% of those names were either oil or natural gas companies. So that said to me, whoa. And this was before, as natural gas was beginning to make its move, I started getting a lot of alerts about it, or a lot of charts about it. So I said to myself, boy, there looks like there might be a big move in natural gas coming. And there certainly was. And this pointed me in that direction, telling me that, look, all these stocks were breaking out of a 20-day range. So that's what the scan looks for. If we right click, configure, super simple scan. There's nothing special about this. It just works for me. Looking at this, I'm looking at stocks between $4 and $30. The relative volume is one, meaning that it's doing at least its normal volume over a 10-day average. It's traded at least 750,000 shares today. I just want to make sure that we're looking at things that are liquid. It's 75% above the low of today's range, so I want to see it close strong, and it's 75% above the low of its 20-day range. So I want to see it's breaking out of range. I want to see it's lost in no man land. And so when you start seeing a huge group of stocks in a sector breaking out of a 20-day range, pay attention to that sector. Pay attention to those stocks in that sector. Start looking at what the best charts are, what the best setups are in that, because odds are that's a catalyst for something coming. I just like 750,000. No reason. I just feel like 750,000 is enough liquidity to say that if that's what it's been averaging for 10 days, 750,000 shares roughly. That odds are it's not going to just dry up tomorrow or the next day. So that if I entered it tomorrow, I know I probably got a couple of days of reasonable liquidity, staying above, let's say, 300, 400,000 shares a day. If something traded 200,000 shares today, there's a good chance it's only going to trade 75,000 shares tomorrow, which is not enough liquidity for me to trade personally. So that's what this scan is doing essentially. So looking at this today, pretty scattered. There's nothing standing out to me as a sector that's doing anything. I'll also say that, excuse me, right as natural gas was exploding, the next biggest thing that was in here was some banks. All right, let's take a look at the KRE. All right, and we can see that the KRE broke out a few weeks ago. All right, broke out nicely. Now we're sitting near all-time highs with that. All right, KBE, same thing. All right. Once again, broke out. Very similar looking charts, but those are not the same charts. Those are not the same ETFs. And if we look at the XLF, all right, again, same idea. We're breaking out. Now, this one's a little less defined in that gap up and pull away, but we're sitting at all time highs once again, or just off of it, anyways, in the XLF. So now, what does it do from here? I don't know, but a lot of banking stocks were coming through this in the past weeks. All right, so I'll wait to see if another set of stocks from a specific sector start to dominate this list again, and what that will mean to that sector. Anybody that's paying attention knows that natural gas did this. So now it's, stuck here. Made this big move up, pull back, move up, pulling back again. Uh, you know, where it goes from here, I don't know. But what I do know is it's been very strong, and this is the kind of line we're looking at now. And we'll see how that plays out. And so that's how, no one way to use this data. What do you see when you look at the data? That's the key here. Oh boy, did I lose you guys? Can you all still hear me? 'Cause I just lost my connection to IB, and I don't know if that means I lost connection to you all too. Okay, perfect. I got the little English guy in my ear from IB telling me that my connection was lost to market data, and I could see them trying to search for the connection again. So, all right, how do I search for breaking out of a 20-day average? So it's a 20-day range, not necessarily an average. And so what I do is right click, configure, and you're going to want to look for, this is the one that I use, position in 20-day range. This is the one that I use, position in 20-day range. It's over here in the window specific filters. And if you click on the show me function, it says show me stocks where the price is at least 75% above the low of this range. And that's how I filter for breaking out of the 20-day range. We don't have EMAs as a filter, only as an indicator on the charts, but you could, search SMAs. And if you want to use an SMA, this is what we got the list of. This is everything we have to offer you for SMAs. It's a pretty big list. I mean, I know there's not everything, but it's what we got. So if you want to use an SMA for that, by all means. I'm not I'm not huge on SMAs and EMAs as filters. Just more as an indicator for momentum in the trades that I'm in. Nope, we're here, you hear you. Range, yeah, no, you're good. Five SMA, yeah, five SMAs. That's shown a lot of momentum, essentially. I have two indicators on my intraday charts. Red is an 8 EMA, blue is a 20 SMA. On my daily charts, I have four indicators. I keep saying I'm going to drop the 50-day. I swear one of these days I'm going to. That's a 50-day right there in green. I just don't pay attention to it anymore. I just don't need it. Red again, 8 EMA, blue again, 20 SMA. This black line that kind of looks almost like steps, that's a position low of 20 days. So I actually took the indicator, the position in range 20 days, and it's that filter. Now it's an indicator. So essentially what I've done is, and you have access to this too, if you right click and you come to indicators, all right, you're going to look for multi-period low, okay? And see, I have periods 20. So the multi-period low 20. So it's the low of 20 days. And so I like to use that. And generally speaking, I like to use that as a lot of support. Great examples of it, SPY. All right, let's look at a SPY chart here. And, if we zoom out, just look at how strong that 20-day was actually for so long. All right. Coming back to last October, we had this one move up and back down. And then that 20-day period basically never broke again, significantly for a year. Just up until recently, we broke it again. So, there's nothing magic about it. I just happen to like it. That's all. It happens to work well for me, and like everything else in trading, you look at what's working for you. That's how that would work. So I think we're all caught up on questions. So, fire away. I'm going to take a sip of water. And if no questions come in, maybe we'll take a couple minutes, look at a few sector charts, a few ETF charts, some stuff like that, see what's happening around the horn. What is max number of tickers you can put into a list? I don't know. Um, Several hundred, I guess. I'm not sure. I don't know if there's really a max number, to be honest. I've never tried it. Um, do you look at our RRG? I'm not sure what RRG is. Is that a stock? Nope. Let me know what RRG is, but odds are I don't look at it. I look at a little bit of RSI. Nope, none of that. I don't look at nope, relative rotation graphs. No, I don't. There's things that I want to get into as I have big ambitions to possibly in December begin my journey to become a CMT. Hopefully that'll start to my schedule will start to pan out that I can do such things. But no, I don't look at anything fancy like that at the moment. Um, I keep it pretty simple for the time being right now. Or are you using monitor sectors and watch for sector strength and sector breakouts? Aside from paying attention to what my evening scan is doing, I have a sector list right here. I created it's a top list, so it's similar to what I did with my light, only it's just attached to a list of EFTs that I put in a symbols list myself. So if we take a look here, tools, symbols list, sector analysis. That's what I called it. And so, if I go to edit list, I've got all these ETFs that I put together here to look at. And then, the same thing as anything else. It's in a top list. So configure, symbols list, only the following list, sector analysis, window specific filters, no filters in here whatsoever. And we're sorting on change from close percent because once again, that's what I personally like to sort on, but that's all. No, I haven't. I can't share this outright because it's a symbols list. I can't share the symbols list like that. But if you send an email to at trade-ideas.com, you send an email there and say, "Hey, Chris V says he can share a sector list with me." That will get routed to me, and I will send you a copy of those ETFs of that list, and you can copy paste it over yourself. So just anybody that wants to have that list of ETFs, and I'll attach to it a video of exactly how I made this list here too. So you'll have that too, and in that video. Even though I go over a sector list, you can do that with anything. It's the same concept as what I did with my light. So you can do that with literally any scan, attaching it to a symbols list. So that's how that's done like that. So send an email in there, and I can't promise that I'll get to it, right away. I've got a softball team that I coach here coming up practice after that. But after we're done with that, I'll come home and hit the books again, working with you people. Excellent. Glad that helps you, Omer. Chris, would you be able to share your whole layout? I can share my layout. The problem with sharing my layout is it's attached to symbols lists, a lot of it that, again, I can't, the symbols list won't transfer over. So like, for example, this scan that's called automation list, and don't get caught up. It's automation, but it's not automation. It's not automation how people think it is. So before anybody thinks that he's got a holy grail of automation scans, no, it's not that. The problem with this is it's attached here once again to a symbols list here that I have. So and the rest of this alert is there's nothing in it. If we clean it up here, hide unused, it only has 4 filters and a new high as the actual alert. So I mean, I'll go ahead and share it with you. There's other things that you'll get in this layout too. I have whoops, clicked the wrong thing. I have compare count windows that are here. We can dive down that if we need to. And there's also, I have I have a SPY chart that's detached and unlinked. So, another set of docked windows here, TI strength alerts, I, monitor those. single stock window that's watching the SPY and some price alerts. So I mean, I'll go ahead and share it with you, Chris. But it's not the same thing. It's not going to work the same way for you as it does for me. So, but let me go ahead. I'll go ahead and share that. And my layout, share, copy, paste. So there you go. That is a copy of my layout. For what it's worth. Doing more progress, common formula, strategy back testing on Friday. A lot of progress, as a matter of fact. Um, so I ran it today, and I did some massive optimizations on this over the weekend. Where is that scan? Oh, hold on, I gotta close this so I can bring it up. And then I set it loose on the world today to test it in automation, and it did terrible, as far as I know. I'm waiting for the data to actually come in. Um, there's optimizing is a long, tedious process. So I probably spent about 20 hours this weekend back testing this. I'll run the back test now, all right, to show you what I got to with it. Now, this scan has a custom filter in it, so I can't. Once again, this is something I can't share outright, and custom filters have a little complication to them. But I'll just share an update of what this looks like and why I hope it has promise to it. So that's actually back testing much faster than I expected it to. And it's something I can share, but there's a multi-step process in trying to share this. So this is what it back tested to, and this is nice, but never pay attention to an equity curve in back testing, because one day could create this equity curve, and all the rest suck. So if you got a scan that had one great day out of 60 days, and 50 terrible days, and 8 mediocre days, that scan is garbage. You know what I mean? What are the odds of you hitting a home run on one day ever? But if you come to the daily tab here, this is where it's exciting to me. These are the only down days. All right, that's not a lot of down days over 60 something days worth of testing. Okay, and those are all up days, so that's why it's promising. But there's a lot of work to be done on the scan still. It's not some magic scan, so I don't want anybody like, whoa, he's going to share that scan and I'm going to make all this money. There's ETFs coming through the scan that I did not think would come through based on ETF lists that were created. So if we come to configure, you see there's a lot of stuff going on in the scan. We come to symbols list. I had excluded warrants, ETFs, special symbols, another warrants list, and half the stuff that came through early was ETFs, and it sucked. That's all I can say about it. Like, so here's how I knew China had rolled over in the day. This alerted this, and then alerted here, and it looked like it was okay for an ETF, and then it crashed out on me. All right, so it is what it is. Like I said, a lot of work to be done on it. Very promising looking. If you want this scan, there are multiple things you will have to do. You have to put in the work to do this. Okay, so first you're going to have to understand how custom filters work. All right, so here's a video. And please, if you're in the test drive, if you're really new to this stuff, we're talking about, this is sprinting here, sprinting. And you guys are you're at the crawling stage of things. Doesn't mean don't do it. Just understand that there's, I have a lot of TI time involved in doing these things. All right. And I'm not a customs expert. Watch this video on custom filters. Okay. This will show you how to get into the formula editor, so on and so forth. You can't just build anything you want. We have to have the data point for it. This goes into it. Watch this video a few times. It took me about 10 before this stuff started sinking in. All right. Then once you understand how the formula editor works, I'm going to give you the custom formula that's involved in that scan right now. I created this formula myself. Nothing overly complicated about it. Once again, just an idea that I had, and I decided to give it a shot. 5 cross. Where are you? Custom formula. And I don't expect everybody to understand or this to make quite a lot of sense to everybody yet. That's the custom formula, all right, that you'll need to copy and paste in the formula editor for the scan to work, okay? And then And then here's the actual scan. But then you need to understand what the value I used for that formula is because it's a filter. All right. So that's why this is many parts to making this work. And if you don't get it right now, I'm sorry. I'll be here again tomorrow at 3:30. You can send an email in. I will try to get to everybody the best I can, but this stuff is not, like I said, this is the real advanced stuff in trade ideas. All right, copy. This is the actual scan. All right. And then anybody that's following along with this, if you want to run the scan, you want to back test it, you want to start playing it with yourself, screenshot what I'm about to show you, please. All right. All right. You can see I have a lot of stuff going on in the scan. A lot of stuff. All right. This is what, all this optimization will get you. All right. What you need to screenshot, the important part here is this where it says 520 cross. Those are the values you need to enter into the minimum and maximum column to make that scan work the way I have it working right now. Now, you're welcome to play with this, but the idea behind this filter here is to find stocks that are where the 5 SMA is just under the 20 SMA, all right? Doesn't mean it's going to cross. It means it's just barely under it though, okay? The rest comes from all this, and the alert catalyst to all this is going to be a 5-minute high. That's what I happen to select for all that. All right. So that's my alert catalyst to get that cross alert because we don't do cross alerts very well at this time being. That's a lot. I understand. This a replay of this is going to come up later for everybody to be able to go over. Number one. So you can always go back to the replay and watch this. Okay. And again, this is sprinting. This is like a sprinting type of marathon type of stuff that I've done in here. I've never had a scan that had this much filter work in it before. It's the first time I've really gone this far down this rabbit hole. So, with that said, that's that. All right. That covers that. You're welcome, Chris. Happy to share that. Like I said, get out of what you can. Pop back in here daily. Barry runs the same stream from 9 a.m. every day till 3 p.m. There's a Q&A at 12 p.m. Every day, Eastern times, and then it shuts down for about half an hour, and then I open it back up again at 3:30 Eastern. So that's how we go. Did you look at time of day in your back testing and optimization? Very little, Dan. What I did is I don't like to look at time of day and price too much because as you're optimizing the other filters, it'll change how the time of day and filters work on it. So I got rid of that optimization page, didn't I? Yeah. Wish I didn't kill that data. All right. So the reason why I didn't, I really didn't mess with the time of day too much is, one moment it looked like, this time of day wasn't working great and this time it was. And then I optimize, let's say the change in S&P filter. And then all of a sudden the time of day that wasn't working was working better, and the same with the prices and things like that. Like at the beginning of the optimizations on this, anything under $10 looked like garbage. Then for a while, anything under $10 looked like gold. And then it kind of split up where some stuff under $10 looked good and some didn't. And the same kind of concept, different time periods were looking, as time of day went, were looking good, then they weren't looking good. So I've really left time of day off my optimization part of the process of this whole thing. So, like I said, I've probably gone through about 100 versions of the scan over this weekend easily. So that's just, kind of how I did things. It's 4:26. We're coming to the top of the hour, and I will have to run right out of here at 4:30. So, kind of giving everybody a last call for any questions here. Again, fire them away. Yeah, Dan, that's how it goes. It's trading's a lot of work. I know a lot of people come in, they want to just link Holly or automate. And, I see a lot of emails. Hey, I work all day long. I can't monitor the market and I don't really know how to trade. I want to automate. It's like, I can appreciate it. I understand where people are coming from. Trading is really, really, really hard. Automation is even that much harder than really hard because If it was easy, everybody would do it, type of stuff. But it's possible. But you gotta, like anything else, you gotta invest your time. You're gonna have to obviously invest a little money into it. All these things are possible. There are no magic money machines. The only magic money machine that exists is run by Jerome Powell at the Federal Reserve. That's it. So, you want a magic money machine? You go talk to Jay Powell. But that's how that goes. So, all right, I don't see any more questions coming in. Sorry, there's a whole bunch going on in chats. Sorry, someone made a mention of GME here. I just have to look. This thing just won't die. Hysterical. Can't count how many times someone has told me it's over, and I'm like, whatever. I mean, it may or may not be over ever. I don't know. But what I do know is it's been very entertaining, GME. Good for anybody that made a whole bunch of money on it. Happy for them. No, yeah, things are achievable. Look, I tell people I'm a very, very, very mediocre trader. Not anything to write home to mom about, but I now pay bills by trading. It took me years to get there. Um, I taught myself to speak fluent Spanish, so I thought I was just going to be whipping out trading like nothing. If I could teach myself another language all by myself, why can't I learn to trade just like that? Why? Because the market doesn't care how smart you are. Yeah, it's not over till GME's bankrupt. Exactly. Who knows? Even at that point, look what happened with Hertz last year. So, all right. Yes, there are no successful negative traders. That's exactly it. There are no negative mindseted traders out there that are successful. Um, doesn't mean you can't be a bear. Bear doesn't mean you're negative necessarily. It's just a lot of as long as you're just looking at the charts, let the charts tell you everything. When I see crazy things on charts, that probably means there's news, and I don't really care what the news is. But did that chart now, because of that spike and whatever happened, mean that I want to trade it? More likely than not, no. The things we can't predict. Technical analysis is not a perfect tool, but it puts the odds in our favor. So that's what you can do. All right, so that's gonna wrap it up for me here, everybody. I appreciate everybody coming in. I appreciate all the feedback, all the comments, the questions. Anybody that's in here kicking the tires, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Set yourself an alert for when we go live. I'm going to work on some things where I might do some late evening Q&As moving forward in the next few weeks and months. So if you're subscribed to our channel, you might be able to, you get an alert that I might be doing a 7 p.m. Eastern one. I don't have anything scheduled for it, but you never know. I might be sitting here bored one night and finish dinner, and I say, you know what? Let me start up a live stream and see who's around. So thank you again, everybody. Really appreciate it, and we will see you back here tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern. Be safe and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.